Okay, for this little portion, I'm going to just walk you through the process of uploading music with a distribution company. They all have their own look and feel, and they also have their own pros and cons, which we've talked about. And I really encourage you to look at Ari's Take comparison. He updates it regularly to reflect new distribution companies, but you really have to look through all of the options and determine what is best for you. I see artists ask all the time, what's the best distribution company? And the answer almost always for every question artists ask is it depends. This is definitely one of those things where it really depends. If you are only releasing one song every 5 years, you probably don't necessarily want to do the annual fee model, which is what Distrokid has. Um, Distrokid charges you an annual fee, but then they don't take out any royalties. But if you're paying, $30 a year forever and you only released one song, you start going, okay, why am I paying this $30 a year? Well, if you cancel your Distrokid account, they will take down your music. And now, even if your music wasn't generating enough income to pay that $30 a year, now no one can find your song. And it's kind of like, oh, I did all that for nothing. So I really think annual fee models are great for artists that are committed to releasing music on a regular, consistent basis. DistroKid is a great one. They have a great platform. I hate their accounting side. Like if you try to decipher the reports, it's ridiculous. And especially if you have multiple artists like I do, because I have some artists that I work with that I'm actually in development deals with where I handle the distribution for them. And we split royalties. Anyway, it's a nightmare. To me, it's almost like if I'm going to do this royalty split, why am I using DistroKid? Because the accounting part is so difficult. But DistroKid allows you to, they will handle the split, but you both have to have a DistroKid account. So if I'm working with an artist that already has a DistroKid account, easy, no big deal. But if they're like, oh, I'm not interested in, paying $30 a year for the rest of my life, I probably wouldn't be working with them. Let's just be honest here. Okay, anyway, here's the DistroKid screen, the first one that you will see when you go to upload music. And it gives you all of these options for stores that you may or may not want your music to be. And you can check or uncheck. If you ask the question, well, do I want my music on all of these channels? My answer is why not? And I would even click why not Snapchat. They're saying, do you own 100% of the publishing rights for this release? If you have not signed a deal with a publishing company, then the answer is yes, I own 100% of the publishing. One song you can do up to however many, but let's just look at one song. Previously released, no. Liliana Tani is the last one, the last artist that I uploaded a song for. I'm sure that's why it populated there. I'm going to put, I have a couple of songs that I've released as a solo artist. And usually they're just songs that I kind of finished and wrapped up for some other purpose, like film, TV placement. That's usually the only reason I do my own music. And then if I decide I want to release it, I've used the artist name Rebecca Fox, because Becky Willard is just kind of a regular household name. And Rebecca Fox has a little more zing to it. So that's why I did that. Then it will ask you the release date. Setting your release date to at least 1 week in the future increases your chance of getting added to playlists. Spotify will actually say, give us 3 weeks. And remember, Spotify specifically, gets 60,000 songs a day uploaded. Can you even imagine? I mean, how many people do they have on these committees that will actually review the music and see if it fits in a playlist? They must have to have hundreds. But anyway, they need a few weeks, and you really need a few weeks to properly promote your release. So I would really strongly suggest not going, jumping to the date that they populate here, or even a week. So let's say we're going to go December 15th, which is a little over a month. Release time, that's Spotify only. I set it for 12 a.m. and it showed up. I saw it 10 p.m. the night before. So I'm not sure what time zone they're using here, but it obviously was not my time zone. So I thought that was kind of weird. So maybe you could say 9 a.m. and then it says in the listener's time zone. And then, or you can say 9 a.m. in New York, which now you can accurately depict, okay, what time is that going to be for me? Pre-order, this is a great way to get some movement on iTunes and Amazon. That's pre-order is, well, specifically it says here iTunes and Amazon, but also pre-saves for Spotify. Those are really important in the Spotify algorithm. If they see a lot of pre-saves, then there's a better likelihood that you'll end up on release radar playlists and things like that. Pre-order start date, you can set that to today if you want. And then this is where you'll upload your album artwork. I hope that you have that all figured out and didn't wait until last minute. Anyway, I don't really have anything to upload here, so I'm just going to skip that. It does have some warnings here about making sure the images are not blurry, that stores will reject blurry images. I don't know how strict they are anymore because a lot of artists are releasing music, even major label artists, where the album art is really funky and vibey, has weird filters, sometimes blurry pictures. I'm guessing they're not being rejected anymore because people are being so artsy. Go for it. Be artsy. Now, here's where this is where people call me. They're like, I'm trying to select a genre. You have to choose one of their options, and you might look through this list and go, my genre just does not fit. If you feel like you are somewhere in the mainstream pop realm, even if it's indie pop or acoustic pop, I would pick either regular pop or singer-songwriter. And then they will give you the option of secondary genre, but it's the same list. So if you pick like Liliana Tani, the song that we just released called Unchained, I put R&B soul first because she has kind of this soulful voice and it's a pretty soulful song, but her demographic and kind of her other music is definitely in the pop realm. So I put R&B soul first and then pop second. This is not a like, oh my gosh, if it's wrong, everything's going to fall apart. It's not really a big deal, but it does help all of the stores, the streaming platforms, categorize you the right way. So you just have to pick one. Don't stew over it. Don't lose sleep over it. Just pick it and move on. Okay, song title, obviously, and they have instructions. Don't include featured artists here. So if you have featured artists on your track, they have other ways to do that. If it's a cover song, don't include original artist name here. And then it will ask you, do you want to add a featured artist? Now, this would be like if you have an artist profile and you like Rebecca Fox. For mine, I did one with a song with Lillian Hepler, and we collaborated on this song called Just Being Me a few years ago. And I specifically wanted her voice because she's amazing, and also wanted her help writing the song because she's an amazing songwriter. But I really wanted to write a song that would work for film and TV and, mainstream pop sounding. And I just can't pull that off on my own. I need someone like Lillian, like a really great, strong writer and vocalist. So we collaborated on that song, and I entered it as Rebecca Fox featuring, and then I put Lillian Hepler here. And I believe it will find her and then connect to her art or her Spotify profile. If it's like a unique version of the song, like shorter than maybe a music video or something, then you might put radio edit, but generally it's going to be just no, this is the normal version. And here's where you would upload the WAV file. Now, Distrokid does say you can upload MP3s. All audio files get narrowed down, compressed down to the same thing. So I always start with a WAV file. That's the highest quality. That's a better quality than an MP3 file. It's a bigger file. And then, you know, because some stores like, I think, what's it called? The Jay-Z one, Tidal, don't compress to an MP3. They will play higher quality WAV files, I believe. And so why not start with the highest quality that you have? And if you're working with me, I will definitely send you a high quality 16-bit WAV file master of your song. But if all you got from your producer is an MP3, as long as it's 16-bit and 44.1 kilohertz, you're good. Dolby Atmos, probably not for most of us. Here's where you're going to write in your songwriting information, or if it's a cover, another artist wrote it. Cover songs nowadays are being handled through the distribution company. It used to be a little bit more complicated, so I wasn't sure how Distrokid was handling it now, but looks like they've got it here. You just need to put the original artist and songwriter name here. Well, it's confusing because it says original artist / songwriter. They could be different people. I would guess put the artist name just so they are able to definitely match it up. And then the original song title. And then make sure that you're understanding that using a sample from someone else's audio recording is a totally different thing. You can't just, oh, I'm going to use this little clip from this other song and call it a cover song. You can't do that because remember we talked about the different types of copyright. There's the underlying composition copyright, and then there's the master recording copyright. Someone else owns that master recording. So you can't just grab a piece of it and put it in your song because now you're infringing on their copyright. All right, explicit lyrics. Is this a radio ad? They already asked us that. Instrumental preview clip start time. I have never done this before, but if you had like a really specific area where you wanted the song to start, you can set that. Track price, this is for people who actually want to download. I would just keep it at 99. I think that's what people are used to paying. If it's a, you know, monumental cinematic 5+ minute song, maybe you'd want to do the $1.29. Okay. Let's see. Feature artist mapping. Okay, that has to do with the featured artist. Who cares about that? YouTube content ID is a very, very tricky. This is a tricky area because everyone's like, oh yeah, okay. Of course, if someone puts my music in a video, I want to make sure that I get credit for it and I'm the one monetizing it. This is fine, except if you, let's say you put out this song and Disney, or let's be more realistic. Let's say an ad agency reaches out to you and says, we heard your song, we Shazammed it, we found you. We really want to put it in a Target ad, a national Target ad, and it'll be on YouTube. If they find out that you've got content ID, they're going to say, oh, ooh, never mind. Because guess what happens? YouTube gives them, will not let them monetize their video. And it could even cause copyright issues, a copyright strike for their channel. So if I think it's not really worth it, I've personally had someone say, oh, we want to use your song in a trailer. And then I had already released it and had the content ID, and they were like, oh, never mind. And I was like, I'll undo it. I can undo it. And they're like, no, it's not worth it. The film and TV industry is very, we need everything yesterday. It's a very time sensitive industry. They just don't have time to wait for you to untangle weird publishing deals like with CD Baby Pro or TuneCore Publishing. YouTube content ID is the same thing. It's just not worth it's not worth it for them to wait. They'll find another song. So I would uncheck that. Unless you really are just confident that that scenario will never happen. Store Maximizer, I mean, it's $7.95 a year, whatever. I don't think any of this matters. I would not do the loudness normalization. That just seems like they're trying to nickel and dime you to death. I do think Shazam and Siri is worth it. It's only 99 cents a year. Let's see, Title Master. I don't think that's worth it. If you've had the song professionally mastered, it should be at the level it needs to be. This is Leave a Legacy option is actually pretty good. This is a one-time fee, $30, which would mean if you decide later you don't want to pay that annual fee, but you're no longer making music, but you don't want to cancel, and you want to cancel DistroKid, but you want your songs to stay on Spotify, that or all the platforms, that scenario I was telling you about. $30 a one-time fee. I think that's probably worth it if you're thinking this is maybe, just a 5-year period of your life where you're going to be releasing music and you don't want to have to worry about paying that annual fee forever. And then the cover song license. Yeah, so it looks like $12 a year times one. I don't know what that means, if it's $12 a year every year or just 1 year. I'm not exactly sure. But if it's a cover song, you need to properly pay the songwriters and the music publisher the mechanical royalties for that song and pay the mechanical license. So Distrokid will now handle that, which is cool. A lot of the distribution companies are handling that now. Okay, even if you didn't select the content ID, for some reason Distrokid wants you to check that. And then you just check through all of these and then hit done and you are ready to go. So even though this is just Distrokid, all of the platforms are going to be asking you about the same type of information. And that information will then be embedded in the song. They call that metadata. So when your song is playing in South Africa on someone's premium Spotify account, that information connects with your information. And then they know who to pay and how much to pay, because your streaming amount has to do with who's streaming it and not necessarily, how amazing your song is. I don't know if you guys knew that, but streaming is really, it's based, there's so many different numbers. People freak out. They see, why did I get, 0.05 cents for this stream, but I got 0.08 for this? It has to do with who is streaming and what their account is like or what country they're in. So don't get freaked out about some of those little details. Yes, the music industry is kind of a mess right now. There's legislation here in the US that has been passed that's trying to help, but they're still trying to figure out how much should we pay the songwriters for streams. That's still up for debate. The record labels and artists they're still getting pretty good dollar amount, but relatively speaking, songwriters are getting peanuts, and they're trying to change that. A lot of the organizations like BMI and ASCAP, they're the ones that are really advocating for fair payment to songwriters and music publishers, and the MLC as well. Anyway, that was kind of a ramble offshoot, but I know that thought comes into people's mind when they're talking about distributing their music. like, why should I even do this? I'm not getting paid very much. The reality is that this is where people are listening to music. That's why you put your music on these platforms. If you want to boycott Spotify, Apple Music, or whatever, that's fine. But you better find the fans that are not listening to music on those platforms. If you've got a fan base that like they're purists and all they want are vinyl records or even just CDs, then great. Don't put it on Spotify. Don't put it on Apple Music and print CDs and vinyl, which is very, very expensive. So I hope your fans are prepared to, pay a lot more than a monthly subscription fee. That's enough. End of rant. I hope this was really helpful for those of you that are kind of new. All of this stuff can seem really overwhelming. Most important part is to give yourself plenty of time. Do not, you know, if you have a date in your mind already and it's only a week away, you know, apologize to your fan base. Say, you know what, it's going to be pushed out a couple more weeks, to give yourself that time that you need to properly promote and prepare people for your release. It will pay off. If you just release a song without any buildup, people are like, well, they're likely to miss it and they don't understand the significance of it. So the more hype you put behind it, the more they're going to be like, okay, this is really cool. I need to check this out. I need to pre-save. Anyway, I hope that is helpful and talk to you soon.